Hi guys, welcome back to this channel. And now, this is the second in the series of videos related to the Hindenburg research, which has brought about some explosive revelations about the Adani Group. This is the second video. In this video, we're going to talk about the rules and regulations and how the rules and regulations set up by the Security and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, with the Adani Group as per Hindenburg research. Okay, so you see here in this slide is that Indian Security and Exchange Board, SEBI, as per their guidelines, the companies should have a float of at least 25%. What does that mean? Is that at least 25% of the shares of a company which are publicly traded has to be owned by the public who and by the non-promoters in a way. So in a way, the promoters should be able to hold or possess only 75% ownership of the company, and the rest 25% has been mandated to be owned by, say, non-promoters of the company. Promoter shareholders disclosures, which are like routine in a publicly listed company, allow investors to determine whether the insiders have pledged their shares. What this means is that where this disclosures tell the public whether the promoters have pledged those shares, which is 70% of the company in a way, say, whether they have pledged those shares to get some loans or some mortgage. Okay, this kind of is an important gauge of the financial strength or potential solvency risk of the insider entities and individuals. So this rule, as you can make out, tries to um, tries to guide the company towards a healthy balance between promoters and non-promoters. And of course, it helps bring about some transparency uh, and tries to limit the control of the promoters in the running and execution and all the decisions of a particular publicly listed company. Okay. In this same report, research by Hindenburg, it is mentioned that this particular article is, you could see that Mauritius, Cayman Islands funds under watchful ownership for that. So basically, what they're trying to say is that these Mauritius and Cayman Islands are kind of the known tax havens, and you can set up companies out there which don't have to pay any tax, and then this article that is being displayed here is trying to say that many of those companies have funds uh, whose ownership is kind of not so known, is not so transparent. So if somebody has set up a company and the company has some funds, we're not exactly sure, as per business standard, that where did those funds come from. Okay, so this is a known gap. It's a known unknown. It's an acknowledged unknown that many of these companies have funding from unknown sources. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Uh, what is so the Mauritius tax haven? So we're going to talk about Mauritius, and there is a Mauritius tax haven link. All of this content, again, as I've mentioned, is from the Hindenburg research. So this research has said that um, their research has downloaded and cataloged the entire Mauritius corporate registry and has uncovered that Mr. Vinod Adani, happens to be the elder brother of Mr. Gautam Adani, who has gone away from the limelight since 2011, through several close associates, manage a vast labyrinth of shell entities, and that those entities we have identified 30th Mauritius shell entities controlled by Mr. Vinod Adani or close associates. We have identified entities that are also surreptitiously controlled by Vinod Adani in Cyprus, UAE, Singapore, and several Caribbean islands. So this is a major allegation against Mr. Vinod, he has founded, controlled, or uh, he's the promoter of those shell companies which are set up in the tax havens. And as we have seen from the last slide, is that many of these shell companies have a dubious reputation of holding funds whose source is kind of unknown. Okay, so these associated entities have no obvious signs of operation. Again, as per this research, they have no obvious signs of operation, including no reported employees, no independent addresses, phone numbers, or no meaningful online presence. So this is what actually points to them being shell companies. They don't have actual material. They're just shell companies. They don't have employees. They don't have operations. Despite this, they have collectively moved billions of dollars into Indian Adani publicly listed companies, often without required disclosure of related party nature of the deal. So these companies have somehow moved the funds into from those from those tax havens into the Adani Group, okay, without much disclosure as per him. And yeah, so this is the disclosure. Now, the again as part of this research, many of this, so they have, and this is the research that this Hindenburg research has done on these shell companies. As you can see, that these companies like Adani Transmission, Adani Enterprise, Adani Power, Adani Total Gas, the promoters hold almost 75%. Like they're barely scraping through. Where SEBI had mandated 25% being owned uh, by non-promoters, they are almost like they're just at the end of the rope. Basically, they're just holding seven. They're not allowing more than 20. In this case, it is 28%. That's the maximum. Mostly it's 25.7%, which is being held by the public, and the rest is being held by the promoters. Not even not anything beyond 70s. So okay. Um, so this is major, and of the companies which have been listed, like like this fund name is AMPS Investment Fund, Cresta Fund. There's a jurisdiction is Mauritius. Some of these companies, which are supposed to be shell companies, have assets of around billions, some millions, and some billions again. And in their portfolio, all of them have almost like 90% of that portfolio is Adani. So in a way, these shell companies, as if the only thing they know what to do is to invest in Adani stocks. Basically, that's what it's pointing towards. In fact, this Opal Investments, out of its 613 million, all of its $630 million US dollars are invested in Adani stocks. So it's like as if the shell companies have been born or have been created to invest in Adani stocks and nothing more or nothing less. That's it. That's the only thing that they are doing. So it's in a way these companies have been created to invest. And as I, or if somebody who has common sense can make out that these companies has been formed to pump up the prices of the Adani stocks. That's it. There's nothing more that these companies do. They don't have employees. They don't have operations. They hardly have a website or something, and then that's it. Okay. So you can see that these companies suspect holders is like in the Adani Transmission, like 10% is from one of these companies, and basically it's like they are in the 25% that was supposed to be publicly traded. Out of these, 10% in Adani Transmission is held by one of these companies or all of these companies. So this is basically training that the SEBI has mandated that 25% of the company should be held by the public, who is a non-promoter. But in a way, the shell companies, which is being run or created by one of the promoters, which is the elder brother of Mr. Gautam Adani, those companies are holding almost 10%. 10% out of the 25%. So basically, that's quite big, and some of them are 3%, 5%, and 4 or whatever percentage that you can see. So this data, as I've said, is come from Hindenburg research, and they allege and they have done this research, and it's kind of the shell companies are playing a major role in the Adani group, and they are investing in the Adani group totally. Okay, so one you can see is that, as I have mentioned in the last slide, is that the public investment should have been 25%, and this public investment should have been from people, say, living in India, who has nothing to do, who's not a promoter of the companies, could be any Ram Sham sitting in any Indian city. But this is what this is saying is these are not public investments. These are Mauritius or offshore-based entities, often shells, with beneficial ownership concealed via nominee directors. Despite controlling billions in capital, we generally found no meaningful web presence or employees on LinkedIn, no fund marketing material, and no signs that name funds public principles publicly exist. We found no news articles about many of these named investment funds, aside from media questions and confusion over why the entities are so opaque and own so many Adani shares. So these companies have been born and bred and created to own Adani shares only. That's it. That's the only primary purpose in their life, in the life of the company. They have little or no diversification and simply hold shares of in Adani listed companies for long periods. They seem price insensitive, holding the shares despite extreme volatility that would seem most investment managers trim or otherwise manage their stakes. So they hold on to their shares irrespective of the price, and they're as if they're the loyal followers of the Adani tribe. So I think that's it. This is what I was trying to show in this video. The last slide is again taken from that research, and and the research has also said that this has been sourced from somewhere else, as you can read here. What happens is there's a Mauritius. So this Adani Group, which is right in the middle. So money from the Adani listed companies, they move to the uh, family private offshore trusts and companies, which are supposed to be the shell companies sitting inside Mauritius. Okay, money from the shell companies. Oh, sorry, these go to Adani family private offshore trusts, which move to the Mauritius funds and shell entities, and these in turn, these funds and shell entities in turn invest into Adani groups in the stock exchange, and the prices rise. And again, once the prices rise, again the money goes from these Adani listed companies to trusts and companies which are owned by Adani, which in turn again the cycle continues, and this is how uh, the suspect round tripping of cash is happening, and resulting in the spiking of valuation of the Adani Group listed companies. So this is the game that has been allegedly being played by the Adani Group, and this has been documented in this Hindenburg research. I have a link to that research in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon again with the next video. Thanks.